All right. Fetching the stream. It says we're live. There we go. So, what's up, guys? I have been talking to the camera and recording nothing and not being live for about 7 or 8 minutes. And then I realized that I didn't hit the live button like an idiot. And so I've just been talking to a camera with nothing recorded. But, you know, we live and we learn, right? And we're figuring out new things. I hope you guys like the variety. I don't think any 2 live feeds that I've ever done have been exactly the same, whether the setting, the setup, the camera, whatever. It's all been different. Maybe you like that, maybe you don't. At some point, I think maybe we'll decide on something that is more consistent and agreeable. But until then, prepare to be surprised. Speaking of surprises, had someone step into the office, as they sometimes do, a good friend of ours, Dave Acosta. And he's in the building. We get cool people coming by. And so just wanted to introduce this gentleman. Some of you guys may know him. Some of you may not. But Dave Acosta with You Tactical. Let me slide over.
What's up, guys? Thanks.
Where's the delay?
You and I, we're not big enough not to fit in this
there we
frame
go.
together.
Yeah,
so.
you would. I mean, we're just so huge, bro. So
Yeah.
Dave is in the building. Dave in the house. Going to be talking about his organization, You Tactical. Worked with him, doing amazing things. Dave, tell us a little bit about.
So it's been fun. We have an amazing relationship here, and You Tactical. We do a lot of training with like SWAT teams from other countries, and we do some civilian training. But we have a second program that's a little bit separate that you guys have seen, where we're training people how to survive a mass shooting and active shooter. And that program, since the last time we talked to you, has just exploded.
Really?
So we're
actually,
yeah.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
It just occurred to me. So I was playing around with some of the techniques that you were showing.
Yeah.
And I want to run by some of the. And when we're talking about techniques, we're talking about disarming and actually engaging with an active shooter as opposed to hunkering down and just accepting your fate. Being an active participant in your own escape and defense. So Dave taught me some of these techniques, and then I kind of probably bastardized them quite a bit. But I think in playing around with them, may have come up with some options. We need to get together and play around with that a little bit.
There's been an evolution with actually what we're teaching and how because we're trying to teach. We're thinking worst case scenario. Like think of a small teacher.
Yeah,
she's got to be able to do something quickly that is effective, and we've had a little bit of an evolution with it. It's awesome. We have video. If you go to Fight Back Nation on Instagram, you'll see videos of teachers doing it full speed. It's pretty cool.
Nice.
But we always are looking for feedback, and with your background, you're combining your background with a technique that we know is simple. We teach it all over the world now. We're doing a lot of stuff in Brazil.
Oh, cool.
Thus my
go.
Brazilian
Representing.
shirt. Yeah. We're open to definitely.
Yeah, I just want to pick your brain. I mean, obviously, weapons retention and extraction and weapon stuff in general isn't my forte, but spending a lifetime in combat sports and grappling and that sort of thing, you learn how to move your body. And so just with the bit that you showed, kind of playing around with that, I'd be curious to see, what adaptations a trained professional can do from a grappling standpoint.
Yeah.
Because there was a couple things that I found that, tested out in the lab seemed to work. I think the next iteration would be like, okay, let's make it a little bit more, high stakes. Let's try and do it with some sim rounds and
there you go. That'd be awesome.
Somewhat more realistic training, because that's the only way you figure the stuff out.
Yeah.
You got to go in and experiment, and then you got to test and see, okay, is this a viable solution? I think too many people live in the, in the fantasy. Right, we're like, oh, I've got a great idea, and you try it on your buddy, and it works on your buddy. It's like, okay, check this out, newest, greatest move I did, just made up, and it's like, well, it only works because,
Yeah, you have to do it under stress. You have to do it in an environment. For example, one of the things that we do, we have level 1, which is just kind of introducing it. Then a school district, for example, would bring us back. We do level 2, and the teachers are actually using the technique in the place where they work. So in their room.
Oh, wow.
So now you have the guy coming through a doorway. And they're doing it there. But we had an interesting experience. I'll share this because I know you got stuff to do. But we were out at South Summit School District. And the Summit County Sheriff's Office was up there. They were doing a training congruent with ours. They're training officers how to handle the active shooter as they respond. We, piggybacking from that, had a bunch of teachers in the high school, and we're training them side by side, you know. And you have to understand something, for those of you that are watching this. Our focus is that 99% of people that would be present during a mass shooting that are unarmed. That's just a fact. We're saying, okay, we've got a technique for you to fight back and win if you're close enough.
Yeah, because the first thing people
we're not talking
see
about the armed.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
person.
people are thinking, they're saying, well, the way to deal with a mass shooter is then to, you know, I've got my concealed carry, bro.
Yeah, good
and
for
it's
you.
like, hey, if you're that guy, but you know, if we're talking about within a school, the likelihood of you know, having a concealed carry, and then even if you did, being proficient enough to actually utilize that in a classroom full of kids and have a clear shooting lane.
Yeah.
I mean, so we're talking about the untrained, unarmed individual.
So that's our focus, right? And it's interesting what happened there was the craziest thing. There's a guy up there. He's the SWAT team leader. His name is Eddie Wild. He's a great guy.
Are you putting this guy on blast?
Dude, he said, use my name.
Okay, all right. Here
He's
we go.
a really fit guy. He's got the AR. Well, when we first started, we were saying, look, the police will go by with full blanks so the teachers can hear it.
Okay.
Boom, boom, boom. The police respond, and then they give us the signal, and we send one of our instructors into the room where the teachers are prepared, but we have the red gun.
Gotcha.
You know, the plastic AR. And Eddie was like, no police responded, and he was kind of like, what's up? And he went to go in a room. The teachers had dimmed the lights, and I was like, oh, shit. And he went in there, and I heard a huge ruckus, and I'm looking through this sliding pane on the side of the glass on the side of the doors. And I'm looking, and I can see Eddie's on the ground. There's a knee in his neck. His face is squished. And I run in there, I'm like, stop, stop, stop. And he gets up, and he goes, what happened? And this teacher, she used the technique. And you guys learned this, by the way, because I saw your stuff from Central America.
Yeah.
He had a sling.
Oh.
So when she did the
came
technique,
all the way down.
It threw him straight down face first, and he landed on his head. Another teacher jumped in, and he's telling me, Dave, if I had not experienced this and seen it with my own two eyes, I would not believe that these teachers were capable. And I'm trying to look at him, because his eyes were this big, he was like blown away. I'm trying to look at him and take him serious. There's a trickle of blood coming down. But you know what? What testimony.
Yeah, I mean, because that guy's a trained professional. It's not like he's just some schmuck running in with a gun.
He comes in
like,
the door a different way than a bad guy that has no training.
But it goes to show you the efficacy of the element of surprise, that even, you know, relatively untrained, you know, it's not like these are elite, you know, SF people that then transition to become school teachers. These are just, you know, your whatever the average school teacher might be.
Sure.
You know, and then was able to actually take down a professional SWAT, you know.
Yeah. And it caught him off guard. And so, bottom line is this. What we're saying is, look, 99% of the people that are present during a mass shooting are unarmed. We want to help those people, at least in the worst case scenario where they end up face-to-face with a gunman. We want them to have an option. We don't want them to turn around and huddle and say, it's over.
Yeah.
So basically what we're doing is we're saying, look, you're Mama Bear anyway. Let's give you a technique and set Mama Bear loose. Fight back. So,
very cool. Well,
thanks for letting me stop by. Sorry to drop in.
No, man. No, I saw you pass by the hallway, and you know, I was like, "Hey, dude, come in." And we're setting this thing up. It just worked out pretty good timing. So you never know who's gonna stop by and say, "Hey, if you guys want to learn more about what Dave is doing and what he is teaching," because I think we've got quite a few people in this league that have that mindset of fighting back. You know, I think something about being the savage gentleman isn't just to, you know, cower and hide.
No, your group here is about this group. This is what I love about what you guys are doing up here. It's not everybody that's willing to step up and say, I'm going to be the solution on behalf of people I don't even know, on behalf of innocents. This group is that group of people. So
where do they find you?
Our Instagram is at FightBackNation. Pretty simple. And fightbacknation.org is our website. You can go there. And then, of course, on the tactical training side, if you're still interested in that, you know, just go to utactical_nation. That's also on Instagram. But If you're curious what your school's doing, or you want more information about what we're doing for schools, we've trained over 7,000 teachers now. We were just featured on Inside Edition.
No shit.
We've done some stuff with Operation Underground Railroad with their podcast. You can definitely check us out at Fight Back Nation on Instagram or fightbacknation.org.
Very cool. And if you guys want more
Thanks,
details, you can shoot us a message. I'll link you up with this guy. He's doing really cool things. And, dude, glad you
Thanks a lot,
popped
bro.
in, man.
Appreciate it.
Homie.
Good to see you. Thanks,
Right
man.
on. All right, so get the hell out of my camera now. All right, so down to business. The initial intent for this was just to do kind of a check-in and give you guys some updates of what's been going on with the league. And then, you know, we had a guest drop by, so you just go with the flow. So, the welcome, first of all. We've got a lot of new members. I'm trying to rehash because, like I said earlier, I I thought I was live and went on this like 10-minute spiel and realized the camera wasn't even running. So, you know. So we've got a ton of new members, and I'm really excited about that. I think we just passed the 2,000 member mark. So welcome all you new savages and gentlemen to the group. Just wanted to get on here and kind of give you an idea of what we're about. I know you've been getting in and seeing some of the posts, and man, I've been really impressed with the questions and more importantly the answers, right? So people are posting like really good things, and then the answers that are coming through, man, have been really, for me, I found them very useful. I think the stuff that you guys and the insight that you're providing has been fantastic. Hopefully the people that are posing the questions are getting value out of that as well, and the rest of the people who may not be as engaged or actively posting and answering, at least they're going through and they're seeing that information and finding something of value, because that's ultimately the goal here. But, man, it's really refreshing for me to see, like, okay, we've got a lot of thoughtful people in here, guys that are thinking about some serious stuff. And, man, that's refreshing to know that there are people that exist that actually still give a shit about things other than, you know, what this celebrity is doing or what that politician said or whatever. So, yeah, that's really good. Just wanted to commend you guys on that, because that camaraderie is really what this league is about. That's what we're trying to create, trying to build a space where we can share different ideas, get some advice, and offer up advice when the time comes. So hats off for that. We've got some familiar faces tuning in here. We've got Dustin Phillips. We've got Chris Yates. We've got Rory was in. I don't know if you're still here. If you are, Rory, what is up, dude? George, longtime follower, viewer, member. So some of the things that have been discussed, I believe it was one of our admin, Josh Crane, who posted something about a potential meetup. I'm not sure how that got started, but anyway, the idea was, hey, what if we did some kind of meet and greet event, something, you know, exclusive to the league, and it's an idea that I've been kicking around for a while. Not entirely sure how we want to implement that, but I kind of want to put it to the group, right? What would you guys be interested in? What would you want to experience within that? You know, is it something where, hey, we just pick a time and a date and a place and we go hang out and shoot the shit and, you know, have a couple drinks and, you know, talk shop, you know, or something maybe a little bit more structured, which is kind of what I had in mind, you know, where maybe we could have some speakers, we could have some guests come in, maybe there's some events and some activities that transpire. And if that's the case, then I'd want to know, well, okay, who would you guys like to get? Who would you like us to bring out to speak on whatever topics? You know, what would be your ideal list? Obviously, there's going to be limitations. You know, if you guys are like, dude, you should get Joe Rogan. It's like, yeah, I'd love to get Joe Rogan. And I'm only a couple of degrees of separation from that guy. However, I wouldn't hold my breath for that. But, you know, you don't know unless you ask. So if there are some people that are kind of within the circle that you guys would love to hear from or think might have some insight that they can lend to a large group or maybe a small group, I don't know, we'll have to see, of Savage Gentlemen, you know, I'd love to hear who you guys would like to see and connect with if we were going to put together some kind of an event. right? And then the other component, and this could be all in the same thing. This could be a separate. I don't know. Again, we're just spitballing ideas here. The other thing would be, all right, what if we did an experience? What if we put together a Savage Gentleman experience for you guys? What would you want that to entail? You know, what would you be looking to gain out of that, aside from just networking and meeting other Savage Gentlemen and, you know, broing down, essentially, which will all be part of it, obviously. But, you know, what specific things would you want to learn or take away from a Savage Gentleman experience? And so you guys can type in that comment. If you watch this later on, you know, send this in. We get notifications. You can send us emails, DM us, however you want to connect. I don't care. Just, you know, if you have some ideas, send them our way. I'm really curious to see what you guys would be interested in, because this Facebook group, this league, is kind of our core group, right? You know, we've got quite a few followers and quite a few people that check out our page, interact from time to time. But this league, I think, is kind of the inner circle, right? So I want to cater to your guys' needs and see what you guys want to get out of it. So, idea of a meetup, let us know what you're thinking, what you want, what you don't want, and let's see if we can get something together. So the next thing that came up within the group, this was an interesting conversation. Something that I hadn't really considered, but it came from a member who posted this question. We actually didn't put it through because of the way that it was worded. It was not exactly what we were looking for, and we try our best not to put stuff through that we know is going to create a dumpster fire. If you're into that sort of thing, there's plenty of other groups that exist where it's just a shit fest of people losing their mind over things. You know, the idea that here at the league there is a sense of being a gentleman, which means thoughtful discussion. We can disagree, and you know, we can have some savagery, certainly, but you know, if we just know full well this is going to be a shitstorm, then usually we won't put that post through. So this one talked about, it was a gentleman wanting advice, or really I think wanting to get confirmation of his idea for a mail order bride, essentially. So what he had decided was, because of feminism in the predominant feminist ideology that he's seeing in women today, there are no real women left for him to find in the dating pool as a potential partner, you know, to get married. And so he's given up all hope on American women and thought, well, maybe I can go overseas where feminism hasn't taken place and I can get a woman who will just be quiet and do what I say, is essentially what he was saying. And as you can imagine, that could spark some interesting conversation. And, you know, our admin posted something a little bit more tactful to the notion, and a lot of people responded, and I just wanted to address that because it's an interesting conversation to have. You know, how for the guys out there that are single and looking to find that mate or that partner, you know, the pool does seem to be pretty low on the kind of women that men like us, whatever that means, might want to get married to. And so I don't know that outsourcing that is necessarily the answer. And it's like, look, I'm not here to tell anybody how to live your life. If you want to get a mail order bride, I don't give a shit. You do you. However, I will say that if your notion is that you just want someone who will do what you say and be there to service your needs, I don't find that particularly gentlemanly. You know, that's kind of borderline on like slavery. And so me personally, like, I wouldn't condone that. I don't think that's super cool. And I don't think that is in keeping with the savage gentleman. I don't think, you know, having your wife or your spouse, your partner, whatever, you know, you call that relationship, having them just be there to shut up and service your needs it's not really a partnership. That's not really a relationship. That's just, you know, I mean, dude, you could get a sex doll or one of the new fucking robots and probably be off cheaper and better off. There's no companionship with that. And I think looking for I mate a prospective wife or what have you. I think what you're looking for is to have a companion, right? Which means you're doing things together. It's a combined effort, right? And so I would just shy away from that. I'm sure there's plenty of people that have had great experiences paying for a complete stranger to immigrate in and get their green card because they got married, and maybe that worked out great. And if that's the case, fantastic. But I would say, I think, I don't think all hope is lost. I think that there are plenty of well-rounded, intelligent women that whatever your values are probably will line up, and they may be different. I mean, we're all unique individuals, so you're not going to have like a one-to-one copy. But I think the women are out there. I think you just need to try harder. I think if you're not finding those women, then you need to look to see, okay, where would that particular individual find themselves, right? Maybe it's not at the bar scene, right? Maybe you're not going to find your soulmate at the club. Just saying, like, something to consider. If that's the only place that you've been looking, that might be your problem, right? I mean, the people that are going out to nightclubs and getting hammered every weekend and looking just to hook up are probably not the same people that you want to have a long-standing relationship and build a life together and have kids with, or whatever your grand plans are. Those things don't necessarily line up. And not to say that the people that go to clubs won't ever get there. That just seems like if that's what you're doing, you're in a different phase of your life, right? Again, which is totally fine. So I think you might have to get creative as to where you're going to find those people. And I've been out of the game for a while now, so seriously, don't take my relationship advice with a grain of salt, because, man, I haven't been on the market for a while, and I'm sure things have changed. But if it were me, I would look to find activities where someone that would have the same kind of values that I have might also go to. So, whether that's a CrossFit gym and someone who values working out and, fitness and health and that sort of thing, whether that's, a local reading club because, you're looking for someone who's an intellectual and, really enjoys book discussion, whatever it is, right? Think about places, that maybe you're not going to, and that's why you're not finding them, right? Extend your network, right? If you're doing the same thing and getting the same results, it might be time to do something different, right? That's the definition of insanity. So that's my little rant on on the mail order bride thing. Actually, a couple of guys chiming in. Michael Franklin, talking about having a mail order bride, said they have a couple of friends that actually did that, and the women Americanized really quickly, which I imagine by Americanize, he's meaning they became the exact opposite, or the exact thing that the person who wanted a mail order bride was looking to avoid. So, that's, that'll happen. Chris Yates says, yeah, a partner should be a battle buddy, not a servant. Yeah, absolutely, man. I think that's really important. And I think, we can kind in the masculinity world, sometimes you can go too far to one direction where it's like, you're become so domineering, right, that you're not actually looking for a partner. You're just looking for a servant. And I don't think that those, while you can have that relationship, and again, it's totally up to you, I don't think that those generally work out in the long term. I think battle buddy, Chris Yates has put it, it's a fantastic way to look at it. You want to find someone who can complement your skills and ability. They don't have to have the exact same skills across the board, but I think that you guys should have the ability to work together and jointly are better off as a unit than either one of you would be alone. I think that is the recipe for a successful marriage, along with a bunch of other stuff and probably some luck too. Michael Franklin says you have to work on being a good man to attract a good woman, and that's probably a hard pill to swallow. I know from experience for myself, there was a time in my life where the kind of man I was, I would not have been attractive to my wife now. I tell her stories about my past and just the kind of wild, probably asshole of a dude I was. She's like, yeah, no, there's no way I would have gone on a date with you in that phase. And I'm like, yeah, you're probably right. You would have hated me. Thankfully, but the timing worked out that when I met her, I was mostly over that stage. I had matured a little bit, and it worked out where, okay, now I had become the kind of man that she would be attracted to, and I think that's important, man. I think we often need to look at our own personal development. If we're constantly running into problems, whatever they may be, I think the first place we need to look is the mirror. We are almost always the creator of our own calamity. We want to project this on the world that, we've been dealt a shit hand, or this person or that person or whatever. We want to point the blame anywhere else but ourselves. And when the reality is like, hey, we are probably the ones that are standing in our own way. So again, a little food for thought, probably a tough pill to swallow. The last thing that I was going to bring up here was something that actually came from our emails. And I don't know if you guys are on the email list or not. So the league consists of you guys here, in this Facebook group, and then we've got quite a large number who are in our email list that we're constantly sending information out. If you're not getting that, I would encourage you to go to our website and sign up for our newsletter. That'll put you on the list, and you'll be updated with anything and everything that we're putting out, whether that's content, whether it's blogs or podcasts, whether it's new products. That keeps you in the loop. And I regularly get in there and answer. People will ask questions and talk about different things. And as much as I can, as much as I have the time, I try to respond to each and every one of those. If you're going to take the time to write a lengthy email, then I think that the least I can do is give some kind of response, right? So I may not have all the answers, but at least I'll give whatever insight I have, and hopefully that helps. So one of the questions talked about a podcast from a few weeks back. It was the one about getting your ass up off the couch, and it was centered around the idea of motivation, right? And I think this is a recurring theme. It'll come up quite a bit because, man, we all lose motivation from time to time. I don't give a shit who you are. I'd be willing to wager that even Jocko, on certain days, as motivated as that dude is, probably doesn't feel like getting up at 4 a.m. And you know what? I bet there are some days where maybe he pushes that to like 4:39 a.m. I don't know. I'd be curious. If I ever get a chance to sit down and talk with him, I'll find out. Anyway, motivation, right? And how do we find motivation, especially to get up and get moving and to go do things? I think, most people, when they think about finding motivation, it's generally in regards to working out, right? That seems to be tough, especially for guys as we get in our careers, we get a little bit older. We've got all these distractions, and we kind of let ourselves go, so to speak. And it's really easy to do. And so once we've let ourselves go for long enough, now it becomes really, really hard to get back in the swing of thing. And so the podcast was centered around getting up off your ass and, going out and doing how to find that motivation. And so the email was looking for a little bit more insight into that. And I think for me, what I found is you have to have a purpose, right? Like this idea of getting in better shape, getting fit, getting healthy, getting whatever you're trying to gain, right? Whatever you're trying to find motivation to actually do in terms of your working out and training, there needs to be an end goal, right? It's not going to work. It's not going to be sustainable